welcome back to part 2 of our Daredevil review. This time we got some video.
Part 2, Season 2.
Part 2, Season 2. Or Season 2, Part 2, whatever.
2 by 2.
Today, of course, my name is Corey. I'm back, if you guys are listening to PodKore right now. And of course, welcome back, Ginger.
Yes.
Say hello. And of course, our welcome new face to this show, but not new to podcasting, our friend Kurt. Hello, Kurt. How are you?
Good to see you guys. It's been a while.
Oh, it has been a while. It has been a while since we all podcasted together, the unholy trinity, as we call it.
Yeah, quite a year. I mean, some crazy shit happened. I feel like, you know, the world went a little bonkers, and all of the world with it, you know.
Oh yeah. But today we are here to talk about a devil of a man who dares to go up against the evilness of the law. We're talking Daredevil, people. Now, last episode, we talked episode 1 to 3, of course. So this one we're gonna go 3, 4, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, 4, 5, and 6. This time around. Kurt, how far are you with the show, or have you finished it?
I actually haven't even started watching it.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Well, episode 4.
Yeah, so I'm actually from the past when so Ben Affleck is supposed to play Daredevil in this movie that's coming out with Jennifer Garner as Elektra. So I'm super psyched for that to come out.
I've got bad news for you.
Okay. So fill me in. So this is a Daredevil series on Netflix, so I hear.
Yes, this ain't nobody's. This is not your mama's Daredevil that came out in 2003. Did that come out in 2003?
Okay, so the main thing is we left season 1 with the feeling of like, all right, we've taken the idea of a vigilante, a guy running around in a mask like a ninja, and now we're gonna put him in a full-fledged like iconic. So what is season 2 so far? I feel like done to run with that. Let's say.
Well, this season they brought in the Punisher, they brought in Elektra.
Right.
Basically, it's about
good casting on the Punisher.
Yeah, it's about basically how far is too far when it comes to justice. This season so far.
Guilt and temptation is the theme.
Yeah.
Catholic.
What's the theme?
Of course.
Well, of course.
Guilt and temptation is what Daredevil is going through right now. And starts off with Penny and a Dime, and they introduce Finn Cooley. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the comics at all, but Finn Cooley in the comics is drastically different than what it is in the show. So just throwing that out there.
What is it? How do you spell it?
Finn, and Cooley Cooley.
Why? No, I don't know. Because I was wondering, because actually my ex Diana about a year ago was on the jury for the trial of Frank Castle when that comes up in the series. So I kind of already had an idea of where this new season was going to go. And so far it seems like the first half is Elektra coming back and fucking shit up. Like her being the wrench in the works, as it were.
Kind of.
And then Punisher is sort of the backstory where, you know, Daredevil has to like rein it in.
Punisher is more of not really so much as the backstory. I feel like most of the stories kind of evened out a little bit. Like of course, first 3 episodes, Punisher was kind of there, except for one episode was kind of his and Daredevil's, where they had like a discussion on a roof talking about how far is basically too far.
Right, which is what I imagine when I think Punisher first. Daredevil is there's a whole roof scene, and you know, eventually, you know, Daredevil shoots Punisher because he's like, you wouldn't. But it's like Daredevil will go so far to stop somebody from doing something bad, short of like killing.
Yeah.
But like that's his fine line to make, his call to make, as it were. But see, I buy that from Daredevil, and yet not from Batman.
Why not from Batman?
Because he's like a totalitarian. He's a fascist.
Okay.
Whereas Daredevil's one of us. You know, he's in the gutters, as it were. He's just trying to kick the shit out of. He's trying to be the scariest guy in the shadows to scare out all the other shadows. Let's say.
I didn't think about it like that. But yeah, we're now gonna talk about episodes 4 through 6, pretty much now. And of
They
course,
knocked that whole thing out in the first 3 episodes, Kurt.
yeah,
That whole
Yeah.
between the two.
That's the way the Marvel things seem to be running.
Yeah, so they're just like, let's just go ahead and talk about that now. So did that.
Cool.
So now we're at
I like the way that they've paced it.
we're looking at some of the broken pieces from the Punisher, of the Irish mob that he's slain. So we're at a funeral, is how episode 4 starts out.
yeah, with of course the head Irish mobster Finn. He's
Yep,
head
Finn.
of the family, and he's
Yep.
mourning his
Finn Cooley.
son, basically. Finn Cooley, is that his name?
Yep, that was the Easter egg from the comic, but he looks way different in the comic. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, what comic run is it based on?
I think
Yeah.
Garth Ennis. Yeah, Garth
Oh,
Ennis.
okay.
Yeah, 2004. But they put him inside.
Okay. Yeah, so it's Jane Punisher stuff was based a little bit on that Garth Ennis run, and then I think so it would have been just after that. Let's say Garth Ennis took it on for I think like 30, 40 issues.
Yeah.
So I guess from that run with what's his name? So it was what's his name on the artwork. So does this Bernthal? What's his name? Does he measure up as the Punisher?
Yeah.
I feel like he does.
Whereas
pretty
who
good.
plays Finn
Dead on.
Cooley?
I like for the Punisher guy, like that character's dead on. Finn Cooley, that's way different, but I guess you have to make it look realistic. So.
Well, how's it different?
Monster looking like in the comic, so I was just like, oh, okay, well, I guess they decided to tone that one down.
That's Garth Ennis style.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of him now, and yeah, he looks super different. But this must be, I mean, technically, this is still like the first time we're seeing these characters, and I guess what happens in this episode, he definitely is gone from from that universe.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he's so minor. He's probably not even going to be coming back. Whatever.
No.
Yeah, but it's probably like they do in the first series, so it's like nods to different things. Like the Gladiator was the guy who made the costume for Daredevil in the first season.
Yeah.
You know, he's that big dude who, in the comic book, he wore the buzzsaws, and he wore the big helmet and the big yellow costume.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that character was the guy who made the costume for Daredevil.
Yeah.
In the comic book, he actually does make all the costumes for the villains.
Yeah. It was really good. I also
But yeah,
really
this guy
liked
Finn
that.
Cooley has no face, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, that dude has nothing.
Yeah.
But I also like the fact that there's so many nods inside the show to like New York City in general. Like you could tell like they filmed in so many different locations for the city. Like the Brooklyn Cemetery, which was pretty dope. That they showed that in episode 4. I thought it was cool. I was like, well, I used to pass by that all the time on the way to work. So that was cool.
Yeah, episode 4 begins with 2 funerals. One of the mobsters, and then the other with Elliot Groot, also known as Grotto, who's basically suffered a bunch of injuries from the Punisher from the previous episode, pretty much. While the Daredevil was tied up on a roof with him, Punisher basically made him watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so now Matt is kind of there, kind of questioning his, like, he knows he failed this man. He failed to save somebody. So, and that's not sitting right with him at this point now.
Yeah.
What is it ever?
And then we
Um,
go into 5, and then 5 is where it starts to get juicy because it's Kimbaku, right?
well, number 4 basically. Well, number at the end of number 4, in order to get to
Oh,
number 5, and we get to the end of number 4, we finally get to meet Elektra.
Electra, yeah.
Yeah, who's just she's there for like a split second basically, and then we go into that whole thing with Elektra and why she's
Flashback
there.
of how they
Yeah,
met. But it's
yeah.
definitely a change from the comic, but I like how they switched it up inside the show. I
Hmm.
also like the fact that they didn't over sexualize Elektra like you would probably expect. But so I
Well,
really like that.
I mean, that
it's
boxing scene seemed pretty hot to me. That was,
Yeah, but they didn't over sexualize her in general. Like
yeah,
that part was really cool, and I like the fact that the actress is martial arts trained. So
hmm.
it's cool for the choreography. Yeah.
so
Um,
yeah. It seems it is the it seems like her. Like I didn't really buy Charlie Cox right away when they cast him anyway for Matt Murdock, but then like through the first season, definitely like he sold me. And he still looks. I mean, I'm looking at the costume now. It's just like so blatant. It's kind of crazy that we had to wait a whole season, for the first time to see the costume. And now it's like out and about. He's out in the costume and kicking ass.
yeah,
Yeah,
And Electra's costume though seems very underwhelming. Like it's just a hint of red or whatever, but it's pretty generic. Let's say.
yeah, but I guess just like how they did the Finn character, they're just trying to make us them more real. I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ground them first before we make them a little more ridiculous.
yeah. Got
yeah,
all the bright colors and stuff. Because I think they're definitely going for like the more gritty, realistic effect because these are more like the street level Marvel characters rather than like
yeah,
Tony Stark's gallery type of Marvel characters.
Yeah, I mean the fact that we didn't see a costume in Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
yeah. I never even every time I see Jessica Jones anyway in a comic book, I never see her in a costume at
They kind
all.
Yeah,
of
there's only that like flashback.
did, though, where they talked about a certain costume, which was one of her old identities when she was a
Yeah,
teenager.
Mark Bagley draws the comic book flashback to when you see her in the costume, and
Yeah,
it's like off the shoulder, it's like a big gem. They
yeah,
actually show it in the show. It's when Trish throws it at her. It's
yeah,
the actual costume from the comic, and it's like, uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
really
it's a
cool.
bad costume.
That was
Okay.
super.
But going back to episode 4, just real quick, a couple things that of course happen. Karen Page starts kind of digging into the Punisher's past, of course. Um, and let's see what else happens. The Punisher himself. This whole episode's more of I feel like it's more of a Punisher episode because he's setting up. He's kind of knows he's being hunted a little bit. I feel like. Um, but you kind of see Frank get taken down by this Irish mob and kidnapped and tied up and whatever to until Daredevil decides to come and save him. And then you basically it's the first time you see Daredevil team up with a major, I guess you would call him superhero,
Yeah.
Punisher. You know,
Yes, Frank loves animals.
yeah. And you see what happens. You see the fate of Finn in this. And the whole time I was watching the fight scene between the Punisher and Daredevil, them fighting these monster guys, it had me flash back to Dark Knight Rises because the whole time he's just trying to knock a gun out of Punisher's hand each time because the Punisher wants to kill somebody, and he's like, "No guns, no killing," or whatever. And it's basically just like that whole scene from Dark Knight Rises where Batman's just telling Catwoman, "We don't kill, no guns, or whatever." So we get there, we get there, and of course we get to see. I feel like the Punisher and Daredevil sort of start to understand each other a little bit, but not fully yet. Pretty much. I mean, that's kind of episode 4. in a nutshell, I want to say. I don't know. Did I miss anything, Ginger?
No, I mean that's pretty much like what they're trying to do is just kind of like make it abundantly clear, like how Matt is definitely like the altruistic superhero type, but he
Mm-hmm.
is human, where he's struggling with this debate, and then like we're also seeing how the Punisher is like the anti-hero
Oh yeah.
with a little hope inside of him. So
And you kind of see that too. You see that a lot through the first couple episodes, first few episodes when it comes to Frank Castle.
well,
Which
we're seeing where they're understanding that with each other because Matt didn't have to go in there and get him if he didn't want to.
no, no,
So
not at all.
I think that kind of makes Frank understand, like, oh, this guy's not just.
Episode 5.
But
What were
back
you
to
saying?
that flashback, man. Let's
Yeah,
go to episode 5.
Okay,
Go
episode
back to
5
the future.
is where Elektra, of course, comes back and she makes her reasons known for being back to Matt. And of course, Matt is just freaking out the fact that she's even back. But throughout the time, we get to see how they meet. How they met first, and it's kind of funny because flashback starts off with Foggy, sitting there in the back of a kitchen, at a fancy party, eating like hors d'oeuvres or whatever, and just stacking up on food pretty much. And this is 10 years before the current season of Daredevil.
Yeah.
And so I guess they're there as just lawyers trying to. I don't know why they're there actually, to be honest.
Well, they're also starting to show like this increasing tension between Matt and Foggy right now.
Yeah, that kind of started though. That kind of started at the end of season 1.
Especially with this other client that's going on, because there's a pretty big case of Frank Castle. So like we're starting to see like where Matt's kind of happened to be away doing this other thing right now that Foggy just doesn't understand what he's doing.
Yeah, and neither is Karen at this point too.
Yeah,
So they think he's just dropping the ball.
Yeah. Everyone's got secrets. They've all got temptation.
Superhero life, right?
There's guilt.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely guilt. And in the flashbacks, you kind of start to see why and how Matt and Elektra got, attracted to how they became attracted to each other, especially when they have the fight scene at in the boxing ring, which turns into them just doing it right there, in the
Understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it kind of
cool about that.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I also forgot to mention, like, I didn't even realize the small little hint that they had whenever Matt and Elektra were at the party.
Mm-hmm.
When they were over at the party, and she was introduced to Mr. Hiroshi. You remember?
Yes.
But in the comic, that's also the leader of the Hand inside the comic book. So there was like a little shout out to that. So
which is something.
Yeah, I feel like that's the direction they're going, right?
I think so.
More Hand.
Yeah. But he doesn't know it's the Hand just yet. Matt doesn't. She does.
Yeah, at this point, she doesn't know why she's really back.
Yeah. Or what's really going on. I don't think anybody really knows.
Like, there's a bunch of things happening all at once, which somehow at the end of the season they'll have to connect them all or something. But everything
it all connects.
Shush. But yeah, there's that, and of course there's it gets to a point at some point throughout the flashbacks when we're learning about Elektra, where they break into a house. They keep breaking into shit. That's what I keep seeing.
It's
part of vigilante life, right?
Sexual deviance, like being turned on by all of that stuff. But yeah.
Yeah.
She was trying to do something romantic.
It's like I think it's like that conversation that me and you had, I guess a couple days ago, or it's just like why people go too far when it comes to sexual acts. I
Yeah.
feel like Elektra is the kind of girl who might be the kind of girl who be like, hey, punch me in the face, and it's just like, no, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, like it's definitely clear that like she's like this bad news ex-girlfriend of Matt's that he was just so in love with and probably still caught up with. So he's probably on his own defenses, thinking that she's probably trying to toy with his emotions right now.
Yeah.
Because he was probably pretty heartbroken about that. But yeah.
I mean, that's why I haven't really watched Daredevil just yet, because I'm not ready for my Elektra to come back into my life and spring in and bring some fucking assassins and I gotta go fight them and stuff. Like, not ready for that shit right yet. But now the Punisher, though, I'm interested in the Punisher fucking people up. But how does it really tie? Does it tie in directly, or is it? Do you learn, let's say, the Punisher and the hand, the Elektra angle?
I can't really say anything.
Okay, all right.
Because
spoilers.
All I'm going to talk about is this chunk of 4, 5, and 6 right now.
Yeah.
All right, no, that's good to know.
Everybody.
I like that they seem to be
I watched
building
it all in
up
the
pretty
first
well.
day. So, like, I don't want to ruin it. So, like, right before we, like, record these shows, we watch 4, 5, and 6 just to make sure I'm not overstepping my bounds.
Well, see, with the first one, I watched it at 3 a.m. I actually watched the Ben Affleck Daredevil, then the old Hulk movie, then all the Daredevils all at once from 3 a.m. on. And I was like, that was just too much. I should have saved it and enjoyed it a little bit. So that's why actually ever since when I quit Entertainment Weekly, I've been off the news of entertainment stuff. So I don't see the trailers anymore right away, and so I didn't see anything for this. I just watched the trailer just right before it premiered, and it just looks like too much it's like a dream come true almost. It's like it looks like the Punisher versus Daredevil. I didn't really buy Elektra on first view, but I liked her dynamic with Charlie Cox. So I was hoping that she would pay off. So it seems like you enjoyed her as a female badass yourself.
Yeah, no, I didn't particularly have any need for her at all. I was like, wow, she's good.
Okay, cool. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Her story is definitely a lot better than the Daredevil Ben Affleck one.
I don't think I think you could compare to that one is maybe the old Green Lantern movie.
Talking about just the fact,
we're talking about apples to apples. Like,
oh, Lord.
Green Lantern was probably just as bad.
Yeah, let's let us.
But both enjoyable. I love them both.
In a special way.
But yeah, you do have to take into account this is Elektra and this is Punisher and this is their first. So 4 seems to be the big Punisher episode, 5 seems to be the big Elektra flashback episode. So we come into season 2 with set up.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, it seems like I'm reading the arcs here on the breakdown of the episodes anyway, and it seems literally all it says for episode 4 is the Irish mob attempt to eliminate Frank Castle. That's all they have.
Yeah.
So
they get to a point.
But that's not the. We're not really getting it.
No. But these are iconic characters that we've seen badly shown before, time and time again. So it's very important that they're actually executed well. But it seems like you guys think it's pretty on the money, let's say, because there's been a lot of bad Punishers, and I don't think Elektra has ever been done right.
In Punisher, I liked Thomas Jane as the Punisher.
Yeah, but bad movie. Him good, movie bad.
Yeah, I can't really see. It was.
Did you ever see Dirty Laundry?
Yes, I saw that.
There's a short film called Dirty Laundry. Yeah, so that's a real Punisher movie. And Dolph Lundgren, of course.
Which I only saw once when I was a kid, and it was on TBS in the middle of the night, so...
Yeah, that was the first. Think about how old I am. That was the first superhero movie I think I'd ever seen. It was the Punisher, and he didn't even wear the skull.
That was one of Marvel's first.
It was the first mainstream thing. Yeah, like there was a really bad Captain America in '91 and like stuff like that. So like, but they were never in charge of it. They like shipped it out to whoever, like whatever idiots were making whatever changes they wanted to the characters. But like, the Punisher was pretty spot on, except for missing that skull. So like, do they in these episodes are we talking about the Punisher with the skull, or is he going to be building?
He hasn't came to that part. Like none of these people who are just coming in have come to be that yet. How we know.
Okay.
So
in this new Marvel Netflix style, it's like, here's the person, we're going to get to know him for a while, then they go crazy and wear a costume.
Like, here's Luke Cage, and wait until his show comes out, and that's when he'll be wearing the yellow t-shirt and jeans that he likes to wear.
I'm waiting for Hellcat. I'm waiting for Patsy Walker Hellcat.
They're making
That's going to be season 2 of Jessica Jones, supposedly.
Yeah.
Oh.
Definitely got to.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so she's set up to be Trish Walker as Patsy Walker. And she marries Son of Satan.
Yes.
And actually gets pushed to hell by accident. So, grounded approach they're going with all the characters because it really does make sense in the larger MCU. So, like, do you still feel like these episodes feel like they're part of that larger MCU universe, like cinematic?
There's definitely like some Easter eggs, like for example, like whenever Karen went inside the bulletin, like upon the walls, like you would see like clippings like Battle of New York, where they would like drop like the Avengers into it, or just like for example, like Jessica Jones, they mentioned about like the Battle of New York inside that one a little bit, like name dropping that, but just like. They're different tier characters, so like the likeliness of them meeting each other anytime soon is like pretty low. It would be really cool to see like a little cameo blip appearance of them in Infinity Wars.
Yeah.
Well, apparently the Russo brothers have access to 67 different MCU characters, and that includes all of the Netflix series.
Which would be really great to see all of them start to pop up for like that.
Can you just imagine the Defenders rising up out of like the Infinity War, like after seeing everybody in the TV shows and the Netflix things, but to see their like fucking first like mighty Marvel team up be like a little snippet of that movie, that would be like the ultimate Marvel fangasm for me. Like I love the things themselves, but I love that Marvel's interchanging in the whole thing.
Yeah, they're doing what DC wishes they could do.
Yeah, they wish.
DC wants to say PG-13. But towards the end of course, towards the end of episode, what is this, 5? You get to see, you get to finally see Matt's dad's killer. The guy who killed him, and then on top of that, you get to see the Punisher actually being arrested by the NYPD. Because and taken to the hospital because he's so badly beaten up that he's literally sitting there dying. And so pretty much that's where it kind of ends, and then that's where Elektra kind of comes in a little bit. At the meantime, like Karen Page and Matt Murdock have developed a relationship together. I don't know. Is this the episode where they kind of get together? Yeah.
They kiss. Spoiler alert. Sorry. The kiss. But why are you watching this if you don't want to know about 4, 5, 6? So yeah. I don't think they fucked yet. Did they fuck?
I haven't seen them fuck yet.
I feel like we would.
If they did, it was just alluding to. Yeah.
No, they had that moment where they held hands.
She was helping him with a tie. Wait. No, that wasn't after sex, was it? No,
you're all over the place right now.
This is what I have to do when I have to backtrack, guys. Like I'm like.
Episode 6, of course.
Like behind.
I'm researching it right now as we speak.
And I'm like in the future, trying to think about.
I'm right there in the middle, trying to be like, okay, guys, let's stick there in the middle so we don't get too far off. Okay, episode 6 is called Regrets Only, of course. And in this one, we get to see Frank Castle in the hospital. Yeah, Matt Murdock kind of. This is where you kind of start seeing Matt starting to kind of deal with the Punisher case itself. Like, no one wants to represent the Punisher because, of course, they all know he's guilty. The DA wants him off the streets for her own gain. And Matt is basically trying not to. Matt and Foggy and Karen are trying not to get Frank Castle the chair, basically, because they're talking about just killing him for the good of the. I guess because he killed so many people. Like they talk about him killing what, over 30 people.
Yeah.
I think.
Serial killer status.
Yeah. So, and that's a lot of people, I guess. I mean, I'm pretty sure in a comic book it's way more, in like the thousands at this point.
Yeah, no, sadly, like in the average X-Force comic, they literally kill hundreds of people.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
No wonder Deadpool. Wonder Deadpool hops on that team.
Of course.
Deadpool just kills everybody.
Yeah.
That's a whole other podcast.
He even kills like him. Usually.
Yeah, just a quick thing. I was just hanging out with Riley, who draws Deadpool, and we were talking about how Riley actually owns the right, like created anyway, Marvel's Deadpool's Bob from Hydra.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So that little nod to Bob in the movie is actually based on a character that Riley created.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, a little geek out right there. But back to Daredevil.
So basically, this episode kind of begins with, was it Matt and Elektra kind of dealing with the Yakuza a little bit? Or, like, we learn why Elektra is there. And she's there to...
That sounds like a metal band.
Yeah.
I have that album.
I know that band, Electrica.
It's a mixture of metal and electronic music.
You mean Evanescence? They did the soundtrack for Daredevil, right?
I think they did one song.
No, they did.
I remember that.
Forget about that.
No, I have the original album and then the later studio release. I was a big Evanescence fan, you know.
Of course you were.
Yeah, man. Where do you think I'm from? I'm from the 90s. Earth 212.
You're from a very dark spot of the 90s.
I know, but you know, that dark spot also gave birth to the Punisher versus Daredevil in the comic books, which was fucking, you know, the Punisher and Daredevil shooting it out on a fucking playground. It was pretty gnarly 80s shit. So I'm glad that, like, literally we've come far enough along that we can do 80s grit, I feel like, appropriate in cinema. You know, like, the 90s were bad for movies, I have to say, but the comic books had some high points, let's say. I mean, they had balls then, at least. Like, are we going to see Ghost Rider in this series? That's what I want.
That would be a good shout-out if they did that at Cypress Cemetery for a Ghost Rider shout-out.
Exactly. Do it, yeah. Do a fucking new Ghost Rider that has nothing to do. Do Dan Ketch.
So Nick Cage not coming back, huh? No.
No, he would come back like maybe as a cameo if they wanted to do it, just as Johnny Blaze later when he comes back with the ponytail and the shotgun.
I don't think they would. I don't think Nick Cage wants anything to do with it.
I think the only reason why they casted him as Ghost Rider is because his face looks like a skull already.
No, it's because he's literally obsessed with comic books. Like, his name comes from Power Man, Luke Cage, because he's Nicholas Coppola.
Looks like a
skull. And he wanted to be Nick Cage, so he's Nicholas Luke. But yeah, so I mean, like, he's obsessed. He wants to be a superhero, and of course, who doesn't want to be Ghost Rider? I want to be Ghost Rider. He gets an awesome motorcycle.
Because you want to doesn't mean you need to. Which is why I really, really particularly enjoy the fact that Marvel, the way they cast their actors, a lot of them have no idea what character that they're even being cast for.
Yeah, I like the way they do that, for sure.
Yeah,
Because the people they cast for these Netflix series are spot on.
Yeah, of what the character should be. You just have to act like the way they want you to be. Like, what is that character?
Because Marvel has a plan.
You don't make mistakes like Nick Cage.
Yeah,
you want that role. No, it doesn't mean you should have that role.
Yeah, I remember like when everybody wanted Ryan Reynolds to be Hal Jordan. A lot of people wanted him to be Hal Jordan and Deadpool at the same time. One of those worked out for him. The other one kind of hit the fan and just gutted all over the place for some reason.
I always thought he was going to be a good Deadpool, even whenever, like, back in the day in the high school years, whenever he was, like, Van Wilder.
Van Wilder.
Van Wilder!
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, he'd be a good Deadpool.
Yeah. Who does better banter, that quick-witted bullshit banter? I mean, even if you look at, like, Blade 3, he played Hannibal King in that. And, like, Wesley Snipes thought he was Blade at that point and was just blazing out in his trailer, so he literally just grunted at them all. So, meanwhile, most of the movie is just Ryan Reynolds throwing out one-liners and just spitballing lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Deadpool.
Let's wrap up this thing now. We're getting way off track.
Man.
We're getting way off track.
I gotta wake up at 6 in the morning.
What?
Yeah. What?
Okay, yeah, so we're
6
here
in the morning now?
No.
Yeah.
But basically, Elektra and Matt end up dealing with the Yakuza, and then, of course, Matt ends up trying to find out what Elektra is doing there to begin with, and she kind of forces him to kind of help him. And he's like, okay, one job, one thing, and that's it. You're out of my town. You know, he's like, I got a good thing going with the girl. I'm happy. I'm fighting crime. I don't need no baby mama drama here, okay? Basically. That's basically what he said.
Yeah.
She said it. And meanwhile, you know, in the other, like, side story B, Foggy and Karen are basically dealing with the public defender's case with Frank Castle.
Mm-hmm.
They come to get, like, someone comes by to make Karen sign a like a little legal thing or whatever, saying all these things that Frank Castle did, but they were all completely wrong.
Yeah.
Or something like that, which makes kind of them figure out that the public defender or the DA is just making them sign this stuff to move on the case along so she can go into office, basically.
They're definitely painting a really great picture with that public defender coming into the scene, like adding the stress for Foggy and Karen. They need their own personal enemy.
Yeah.
So it's.
I mean, I wasn't sure about Karen and Foggy in the first season, but like their little adventure, let's say, definitely sold me on them. And that guy really was playing Foggy. Like I remember him from a whole ton of stuff. I think he was like Seth Green's like sidekick in Idle Hands, Stoner's sidekick.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was like
Zombie
back
Boys.
in those days. He was playing the goofball, you know. It's good to see him have like a nice meaty role because I feel like Foggy is one of those underrated characters in comic books too because he has to deal with Matt Murdock's bullshit.
He's like Weasel.
Yeah, only it's much worse. Although T.J. Miller as Weasel is so perfect too.
Oh yeah, no, they knock it out. He knocks it out.
See, there's just good casting, and then it's like they execute these things really well on Netflix, and it's like good. But the whole binging thing really it bothers me. I like that you're breaking them down into the 3 sections, but like Ginger, did you really enjoy just cramming it all in your head in one shot?
I did.
No, you probably did.
I'm like, there's how many of the nerds that probably did a marathon with me on the same day?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, and that's crazy. I mean, we're talking like how many people?
Of them probably already seen it twice already.
Seriously.
Okay, so it's like
how many people I know don't even go on Facebook after, you know, when something comes out because they just like can't do it. And that's literally the only reason I haven't done it because
about Facebook when you got Netflix. You know, it's like
true story, huh?
this shit just came out. Why not? Like, I don't care about some 30-second clip about Donald Trump right now. In fact, I just don't want to not think about that. Can we just not think about Trump? Awesome, Daredevil.
Yeah. So where does Daredevil fit into the modern American mythos right now?
He's the devil. That's how he fits in.
Yeah. Are they playing up a devil aspect?
Not really.
Not so much. I think they're just really just playing up like his human moral dilemma of like you know what's right and what's wrong in what he's doing.
Of a Catholic lawyer superhero.
Like is
he's
being
already complicated enough.
Like being effective enough, like as what he'd done been enough, and that's what he feels guilt about. Wasn't enough. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Interesting.
So,
because I'm trying to see how they're
kind of dealing with, because like Foggy kind of feels like that right now too. It's like, you know, the more that like Matt's away, Foggy's kind of like, is what I'm doing enough to step up to the plate because he can't right now? Or same thing with Karen, because she's got like this really dark secret and this failing like lawyer company, and then like she's the only person that's like as obsessed with the Frank Castle case, you know, so she's kind of seeing if what she's doing is enough, because she feels so much guilt as well because of what we saw in season 1. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up like everything that's been happening so far in past 6 episodes in a moral package.
In this episode, of course, we get to see there's actually the first time Matt Murdock and Frank Castle could go face to face. You know. Because, like, they've seen each other as, like, you know, the Punisher and Daredevil, but they, Matt and Foggy and Karen both go, all of them go visit him in the hospital. DA finds out she's not too happy about it because they want to represent him to make sure he's basically not killed. Meanwhile, on Side Story C, Elektra and Daredevil end up going to, like, a little fancy party or something of some kind to go steal what was it? They went to go steal a card of some kind or
intel.
Yes, basically get some intel. Basically get some intel from what's his name?
Hiroshi. But they were looking for the weak link guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically they're there for a recon a little bit, but you know, it's funny, they have a scene where the guards are looking for them a little bit, or looking for somebody, they don't know who, and they end up finding them in the office, where basically they catch them, they think they catch them, you know, in the middle of getting ready to do something, a little something, as they call it. But it sets up for the next episode where Matt and Foggy and Karen are all getting ready to gotta defend Frank Castle, and I mean that's the gist of that episode. Yeah. That's 3 episodes right there. But overall, I feel like that the season's kind of going. I feel like this part's where it's gonna be kind of meh about, like, before like all the good action starts getting in. I watched the next 3 episodes today. Well, I started one of them, the beginning of it, and Wilson Fisk is finally back in it.
Nice.
In the game, which I wonder how he'll play out in it. That's what I'm wondering. We'll be back to talk about how many more episodes we got? I guess the next 3 episodes.
Next chunk of them, guys.
Next chunk.
Gonna get more intense, y'all. Just say.
Kurt, thank you for joining us. Again.
No problem. And in pure living backward style, I'm gonna go enjoy the episodes right now.
And also catch up on the other episodes that just came out, like Gotham and Lucifer.
I mean, dude, and S.H.I.E.L.D. I can't even talk about S.H.I.E.L.D. right now. I'm like 3 episodes behind, but I saw a clip of some crazy stuff. I've been in a creative bubble. I've been doing some stuff, so expect some more, hopefully, podcasting soon. But it was nice to see you guys and catch up
You too. And Ginger, thank you for joining us too.
I'll be back. More episodes for you guys.
All right, we'll be back with the next chunk. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.